Hi, everybody. Which religion do you think is true and why? A lot of people are convinced that their religion is true because they have tons of faith, overpowering faith that prevents them from reasoning and being logical. I would ask this question, why is your faith any better than the next religious faith? You know what I mean? There needs to be something better to confirm these things. Me personally, I left Christianity because I found it to be illogical and became Jewish for a while, but now I'm relatively agnostic, an agnostic theist, I guess. But what really needs to happen is people need to pray to God for wisdom that is logical and rational to confirm and uphold the truth regarding what religions really have the truth, if any. It's very possible that none of the religions have the truth, that they're all lies. I don't know that for sure, though. But as far as eliminating stuff that's not likely to be true, I think I can eliminate pretty much everything except Judaism, and especially Torah Judaism, scriptural Judaism, Karaite Judaism. So I don't think that the Quran in Islam is valid. I do think they plagiarized the Bible to make the Quran. I'm not impressed. And as far as the New Testament, I just get the feeling that the scriptural support for the New Testament just really isn't very strong. If you check out Jews for Judaism and Rabbi Tovia Singer and people like that and their arguments against Christianity, I think they're pretty strong. you know so and that's for me, and for a lot of different reasons. I can eliminate Islam and Christianity, and so that leaves just Judaism out of all the monotheistic religions. Judaism, Torah Judaism, Karaite Judaism. Because if you check out Orthodox Judaism, it's horribly complex, and it's just a whole lot of traditions of men that they have exalted to the status of being divine, which I don't necessarily agree with. In the Talmud, there's rabbis that are arguing with each other about who's right, and supposedly their tradition tells you, okay, this rabbi's opinion was right, and this other rabbi was wrong. But how do you know that stuff? See, this is all faith-based stuff. You could so easily be wrong. You know what I mean? So something needs to change. People need to pray to God for wisdom that is logical to illuminate these things and shine light on whatever is true. Now, there are some problem with the Abrahamic faiths, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. One of the biggest problems, very easily, is the flood of Noah. The Quran mentions the flood of Noah. The New Testament mentions the flood of Noah a bunch of times, and of course, it's in the Torah. It's in the Hebrew scriptures. But the problem is, if that's supposed to be a global flood, that looks really, really bad. I don't think that's likely at all. You can check out Aaron Raw on YouTube. He's an atheist. He talks about why that's really illogical and unlikely to be true, the flood of Noah. And, it defies common sense. You don't even need science to come to the conclusion that that a global flood is extremely unlikely. And I would also object to a local flood for various other reasons. So it's very possible that the fact that all the Abrahamic faiths talk about the flood of Noah, that could disprove every single one of them, leaving nothing. I don't think any of the other religions are true. They're nothing logical. Why should I believe it? You know what I mean? It's nothing logical and rational. All they have are maybe some miracles and signs and wonders. Big whoop. You know what? Guess what? Pretty much all these religions have miracles and signs and wonders, various healing miracles, spiritual experiences, things like that are supposed to prove that they are true. You can't have all these religions be simultaneously true. Either one of them is true, or they're probably all false. I'm kind of leaning more towards the argument that, yes, they're all indeed false for various reasons, like I just suggested. So it's just some stuff to think about. These are really good reasons to seek God. Though you might not be able to define God extremely well, but it's good reasons to seek God, for wisdom that is logical and rational, to prove the truth. Logical and rational wisdom based on tangible evidence, meaning the universe, what does exist. So God should be able to help people to comprehend, the truth in the mind. And to see things clearly, and if any of these religions is true, God should be able to illuminate it and make it obvious. If, for example, the Bible, the Hebrew scriptures are maybe 65% true and the rest is terribly corrupted, I think God can make that pretty clear. But you know what? Logical wisdom in this kind of thing is way superior to a bunch of truth claims that are based on faith that you have no evidence for. You know what I mean? So pray to God for wisdom that is logical and rational to illuminate these things. If anything, it might turn out that no, none of it is true. There are no true religions. I kind of suspect that might very well be the case. But God can certainly illuminate what is true. You know what I mean? So I would recommend praying to God for wisdom and understanding. It's very possible that, the true religion, which won't even be a religion, is completely logical and rational, is not atheism, is generally a monotheistic religion, believes in God, one God, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But the Abrahamic religions easily could be totally false because of the problem of the flood of Noah. It's just some stuff to think about, and really good reasons to pray to God for wisdom that is logical and rational. And guess what? If God doesn't answer you with this kind of wisdom that is logical, guess what? You're never going to know the truth. God has to answer somebody. So if 1 out of 1,000 people who seeks God for wisdom gets answered like this to prove the truth, that's for everybody in my view. You know what I mean? But if God doesn't answer somebody, you will never know the truth. Never. So I would really recommend doing it because it is your only hope. There is no other way you can get wisdom, logically speaking. How do you think you're going to get wisdom? By doing what? Some people said, oh, you just keep the Torah, you just keep the commandments, then God gives you wisdom. I'm like, how do you even know that the Torah is legitimate? How do you even know that it's not terribly corrupted? It's been so long since it should have been written. How do you know it hasn't been totally tampered with and messed with? You have no proof or evidence of any of this stuff. So no, you can't just blindly keep some commandments that you don't know anything about, who wrote it or why, and then expect God's going to give you wisdom. You don't even know that those are commandments. You don't even know that stuff. So how can you keep stuff that you have no idea have any proof that it really are commandments? You know what I mean? The same thing goes for Christianity, and not just Judaism. It's like Christianity's, they think that, just follow Jesus, and be a disciple, and then you'll get wisdom. I'm like, great. If that's true, why do atheists exist? You know what I mean? If God would give Christians legitimate logical wisdom to uphold the truth, why are there atheists today? That's, to me, is a failure of Christianity. And, I don't know about Islam. One thing I do like about Islam is that they talk about how their revelation from God is the greatest miracle, meaning the wisdom of God in the Quran is like the greatest miracle of the Prophet Muhammad, which is good in a sense. It doesn't mean the Quran is true, but it means that, that's the right way to think. That I do believe logical wisdom from God, logical and rational wisdom from God is greater than any sign and wonder or miracle. Guess what? If a Christian prayed that the sun and the moon should stand still for a whole day, and I saw that happen, and you know what I would think? I wouldn't think anything. I wouldn't even be impressed in the least. In fact, if you even go by the Torah, what does it say? If you went by the Torah, it says if a prophet or dreamer of dreams gives a vision or a sign or a wonder, and the vision or dream comes to pass, the Lord your God is testing you. So that if a Christian prayed and the sun or the moon stood still for a whole day, I wouldn't even be shaken. I would be like, whatever. I'm going by what is logical and rational, praying to God for wisdom. That is, logic and reason is greater than signs and wonders and miracles. It doesn't matter how big the miracle is. I don't care. Wisdom that is logical and rational is greater. You just have to think rationally, because all the different religions have miracles. And if they all have miracles, you cannot say, well, our miracles are bigger than your miracles, so that makes them legitimate, or our religion has greater miracles that are more powerful than yours, so clearly that's the true faith. You know what I mean? That's not a valid argument, because you cannot prove just how powerful these supernatural forces are for various religions that do miracles. You know what I mean? So these are all some really good reasons to pray to God for wisdom and understanding that is logical. And like I said, if God doesn't answer you, guess what? You will never know the truth. Never. It'll never happen. So it's your only chance. It's humanity's only chance. So I wish some people would join with me in seeking God for wisdom that is logical and rational, or perhaps something that is, I've thought divine and glorified, or something like that. Not necessarily flesh and blood. So it wouldn't be logic and reason. It would be some kind of divine way to absolutely know the truth without any shadow of a doubt, like something divine. I don't know. That's possible. I don't know that actually exists. But my reasoning is that, well, how does God think and reason? Is God logical and rational? I don't think God is literally logical and rational. God can be that way for people, but to say that the reality of God is that way is probably an error. Because God is not flesh and blood, so God is not bound by the laws of biology and flesh and blood in the brain. But it is possible that if you believe in, spiritual experiences, here's a legitimate spiritual experience. People want to claim, oh, God spoke to me. I'm like, you know what? Shut up. God didn't speak to you. If God spoke to you, he could give you all kinds of rational wisdom and understanding to prove what the truth is, instead of giving you just a bunch of blind faith and some voice that could have been any spirit. I believe there's tons of deceiving spirits out there, so that compounds the problem. There are deceiving, miracle-working spirits in many of the religions of the world. So don't say that God spoke to you if you don't have really solid evidence for it. And don't say that, oh, a miracle proves that God spoke to me, because guess what? The other religions have the same thing. They have miracles and signs and wonders too. So they can't all simultaneously be true. You know what I mean? So anyway, seek God for wisdom that is logical and rational. It is your only hope. It's the only way you will ever know the truth. You will not know the truth through faith or through miracles, because all the religions have that stuff. You know what I mean? So some really good reasons to seek God for wisdom and understanding that is logical. So anyway, this is just some stuff to think about. You guys have a good day.